tell us what testimony you're trying to give in this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Could you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Avram Friedman. I live 1346 Dillsboro Road in Sylvan, North Carolina. I am a Duke Energy ratepayer.
Do you have a statement you wish to make this evening?
Yes, sir.
Please proceed.
My name again is Avram Friedman. I'm the Executive Director of the Canary Coalition, an organization with more than 2,300 members, many of whom are residential and business Duke Energy ratepayers, including myself. I'd like to thank the Utilities Commission for holding this hearing. I just want to make the Commission aware, and I believe they are aware of the fact, and everybody here aware of the fact. I appreciate Duke Energy and the job that they do. It's a difficult job to supply energy for everybody reliably, and they perform a great service in that sense. But I think we also need to be aware of the danger of the amount of political power that Duke Energy wields in North Carolina. The power to elect representatives, governors, appoint commissioners to various commissions and regulatory agencies. I think we need to keep that in mind through this process. We're here today because Duke Energy wants more money from its ratepayers, not to provide for a growing demand of energy in North Carolina, but to expand its market to areas outside its current service area in central South Carolina. When Duke Energy first made application for a certificate of convenience for its 800 megawatt Cliffside Unit 6, it cited utility industry projections of a 2% annual growth rate in energy consumption in North Carolina into the foreseeable future. That has already proved grossly inaccurate, as energy use in North Carolina has been shrinking. But now they have signed a contract subject to your approval, the Utilities Commission, with a contract with 5 energy co-ops outside their current service area in central South Carolina to provide 1,000 megawatts of capacity. That's more than the Cliffside unit itself. You've already turned down their application, the Utility Commission has, to provide Orangeburg, South Carolina with an additional 600 megawatts, but they're appealing that. Duke Energy obviously has no shortage of existing capacity to meet North Carolina's needs. They simply want to build Cliffside to sell more energy, make more money, and at the expense of North Carolina ratepayers. Duke Energy is claiming they deserve more money because they haven't had a rate increase since 1991. But this is disingenuous as well. In October of 2002, Duke Energy agreed to pay $25 million to its customers to settle allegations by regulators in North and South Carolina that it had underreported net earnings by about $123 million between 1998 and 2002 in order to avoid having to cut its electric rates. Duke Energy is claiming that ratepayers owe them for the money spent on meeting emission control requirements under the Clean Smokestacks Act. But in 2003, Duke retired a huge debt incurred from building nuclear power plants in the 1970s. This would have resulted in a substantial rate reduction for their customers had there been a rate case review in 2003. But Duke vehemently resisted a rate case review and in fact was rewarded in Section 9E of the Clean Smokestacks Act that froze rates at their then current levels for 5 years. Between 2003 and 2007, Duke was allowed to collect substantial excess revenues well above its guaranteed 12.5% rate of return on capital investments. These excess revenues were allowed by the state to compensate Duke for the cost of installing emission controls mandated by the Clean Smokestacks Act, even though for decades before they polluted the air for free at the expense of public health and the environment with no accountability. Now, Duke is asking to be compensated again for installing emission controls. We paid once, and that is enough. The job of the Utilities Commission is to protect the public interest. And right now, that means denying an unnecessary rate increase at this time of extreme economic hardship and denying Duke Energy permission to continue construction of an unnecessary power plant at Cliffside at the expense of North Carolina ratepayers and taxpayers for the sole purpose of gaining excess profits. Thank you, and I'd like to submit these documents in support of our statements.
You have there, Mr. Friedman, in support of your favor.
I have a copy of the Clean Smokestacks Act with Section 9E highlighted. I have an article from Fortune magazine, which relates to the story of $125 million underreported, and I have something.
All right, we will mark the various
That's it.
pieces of information that you have in your